Happy October. It's Halloween. Woo! Welcome to SoCalDramtram. I'm Matt.
I'm Cesar.
And today, before we get into this bottle, we just want to say if you're new here, thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. If you're a returning viewer, hey, we appreciate you sticking around. Everybody, don't forget to hit the little bell so that way you know whenever we drop a new video every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, buddy.
Caesar, what do we got on the bar today, other than potions?
Besides these magical potions right here, we got something from your bar, my friend.
That's right. We got a little bit of a Viking funeral that we got to send this guy off on. Today we've got the Deanston 18-year-old Highlands single malt Scotch whiskey finished in Bourbon Cask. Hit it. Today, we've got something from Deanston Distillery. If my memory serves, this actually is our first review of a bottling from Deanston on this channel. But we are definitely no strangers to the wonder that is Deanston, right? So when did this distillery open up? Basically, Deanston actually opened his doors as a cotton mill in 1785. That was actually over 235 years ago, for those of you guys who suck at simple math like this guy. So for nearly 200 years, they basically did cotton. They were in the cotton industry. But I want to say it was around 1965, that industry basically was on the decline. And so they were kind of winding down their workforce and getting ready to close their doors. But by 1974, they actually had kind of reinvented themselves and started the distillery, which is kind of cool to think that, you know, you start one way and then you just completely shift what you're going to be doing as,
someone's
I guess you could say, a company.
Someone's like, let's make money on shirts. Oh, you know what? We can make money on liquor.
Exactly. So like I said, workforce declined. They closed their doors. By 1974, they decided to go ahead and start producing whiskey. Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, obviously, because they are in Scotland. And I think it's safe to say that I speak for both of us when I say that the whiskey world is actually better for it. This is not our first Deanston, like I said. We've had a couple of them together. I've had some other ones as well. And we got a couple more on the bar that we're eventually going to get to that are really exciting bottles. As far as this particular bottling goes, like I said, this is the Deanston 18-year-old. It's finished in Bourbon Cask. It's presented at 46.3% ABV. It's unchill filtered and it's all natural color, as it should be, which is actually stated on the bottle right there. You might have seen it in some of that sexy B-roll footage, who knows. I couldn't really find much on the maturation of this bottle online, and it is a little bit of a discontinued bottle, so to speak. So instead of telling you all about that, I'll just tell you about the awards that it's actually won. So this bad boy actually won gold in the 2018 International Wine and Spirits Competition. It won gold in the 2015 Scotch Whisky Masters, and in 2017 it won silver awards at the International Spirits Challenge, as well as the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So this has got some pedigree for sure.
Definitely.
The reason why I felt okay doing a review on it, other than the fact that it's on its last legs, excuse me, it's still out there. You can still get it. You can still walk into Total Wine and still find it on the shelf. Stateside price point is going to be about $130. I got this online. You can see the UK stamp right there. So I paid a little bit less, but it is also a 700 ml bottle. So it's a little bit less than you would get in the States here. But like I said, before this guy goes off to the Whiskey Bottle Boneyard, we wanted to go ahead and get it and get a review of it. So again, you've had this whiskey. What are some of your thoughts as we kind of go into it?
Well, I didn't know it was made out of pedigree, so if I knew it was made out of dog food, I would have probably... I'm just kidding.
Like, what?
I mean...
She's been having a little bit too much of that magic potion over there.
From the previous Deanstons, I really think it's a good staple for Highland Scotch whiskey, so I mean, I'm expecting nothing but good things. As always, I wouldn't really expect bad things, or if I did expect it, I wouldn't have bought it to try it, or I wouldn't be willing to try it. So nonetheless, how is it on the nose?
Well, before I get into the nose, two
yeah.
things. One, my coin that I'm actually using today is the Scotch for Dummies second fill. I'm actually using Drew's coin, which is the burnt toast coin. The reason why I'm actually using this bad boy is because Drew always gets burnt toast when it comes to Deanston, particularly that Deanston 20. Don't worry, we got a review of that coming soon. Whose coin you using?
For my coaster coin, I'm using my Bourbon Cask. Tell you what. For my topper coin, I'm using my Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. There we go. There we go.
That's us killing time for the focus. So one point of clarification on this whiskey that I think is worthy to kind of point out is, if I remember correctly, this was the whiskey that made you fall in love with a bourbon cask.
Yeah, I mean, not only bourbon cask, but this is the Highland. Having a Deanston was the first highlight to Highland, no pun intended, that I really adored. I was like, wow, what is this? Oh, this is a Highland. So this is what the standard. This is what those are like. So I've tried a bunch of Highlands because of how good that was, so to expect it to be just as good, but it didn't turn out as good. So to this day, the standard for Highland, or the staple for Highland, the foundation, is really good with Deanston. If you have Deanston and you like it, then you're going to try other good Highlands that you'll for sure like.
Yeah, they have a couple different finishing offers, right? Offerings, if you will. We've been drinking today, folks. Shocker. So this guy, like I said, it's the bourbon cask finish. They have had a 20-year Oloroso finish, which I do have on the ball. Again, we've been drinking.
Can't wait to edit that one.
Exactly. There's going to be just like a little ball jumping across the screen. Or like the tether ball. You kick it and it goes around the pole. So, yeah, 20-year Oloroso finish. That has since been discontinued. Like I said, this guy is discontinued, but you can still find it. They have a brandy cask finish, which I want to say is a 9-year. I actually have that bottle as well. And a whole slew of other ones. They have a Dragon Milk cask finish, which is kind of sweet.
Dragon Milk?
That beer, Dragon's Milk, if I'm not mistaken. I forget exactly if that's the name or what, but I hear good things about it. No, it's not actually milk. Before you say anything,
know exactly.
I knew where your thought process was going, and I could see it on the monitor. But nonetheless, like I said, Deanston is a really good staple to have on the bar. You can pick up their Virgin Oak for, I want to say, around $30, and it's really solid. I mean, in the land of $30 whiskey, it's actually a really good one, especially for a non-age statement. I put it right up there with like a Monkey Shoulder or a Johnny Walker Black in terms of its value. And eventually we'll get to that bottle. That's just every time I go and I want to pick one up, I've got like 2 or 3 other bottles in my hand. I'm like, maybe next time. It's not anything against it. It's just I want these ones more.
Yeah, of course.
And I've already been through like 2 or 3 bottles of the Virgin Oak. So what are you getting on the nose on this guy?
So on the nose, the first thing I got was a nice citrus. A nice sherry citrus, actually.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I couldn't find much about the maturation on this guy, so it may have some sherry in it. All full disclosure, I'm not sure. Someone point it out in the comments. If you do, please let me know. I'd love to actually know. All I know is that it's finished in a bourbon cask. I'm with you on the citrus, though, for sure. That bourbon cask definitely brings up the vanilla, for sure. I mean, you almost always get vanilla in whiskey, but with the bourbon cask in particular, you're definitely getting a little bit more. But in this guy, for sure, I get like honeyed orange. Like particularly with Deanston, I get a lot of like a honey aroma, almost floral as well. We've talked before about like, going into a doctor's office and getting those fresh cut flower scents. It's kind of the same thing because it is a Highland, and so that's kind of the flavor profile you tend to get. But that vanilla is really nice coming through it as well. So you took a sip. What's on the palate? I know I took a sip too, but I'm cheating.
So right away, you could tell that foundation is straight Highland. Really good Highland Scotch. Very flavorful, full-bodied. The flavor impacts takes over your whole mouth. The finish lingers a little while too. Very malty, given it's a malt. But
what?
but no, yeah, very nice, malty, subtle. The flavor profile is really good. I get an orange citrus. I get like a tart whipped cream. I get like a tart whipped cream in there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the mouthfeel at first. So this mouthfeel is really nice. It's got a nice oily texture. Really kind of clings to the side and roof of your mouth. And it stays with you. And I think that helps the finish as well.
Yeah.
Now, again, this guy on its last legs for sure. But it still holds its ABV quite nicely.
That's what I was gonna
this
say,
has been below half for the good portion of 6 to 8 months, I would say. Like, we hit this pretty hard when I first got it, but it still packs a nice punch. It doesn't feel oxidized or anything like that. As far as the flavors go, definitely honeyed orange, like I was saying. I'm with you on the citrus note, and very malty. Like, it definitely has a very malty foundation, and it's just really nice, really just a lovely dram. And at 18 years, it's very soft for that.
Yeah.
Like, you would think like it's going to be, just super complex, things like that. And it is, but in a different kind of way. Like, it's not like overly, one particular flavor. So like, for example, what was it? The Wild Turkey 17, right? Everybody that I saw online, they're like, oh, it's got this one particular flavor because of, 17 years in a barrel. And it's like, I didn't necessarily get it, but I understand what they're getting after. Like 17 years in a barrel, in this case, 18 years in a barrel, it's going to impart some of those flavors. But because you're in Scotland and you have much colder climates, it's going to just absorb so many of those other flavors. As far as the sherry note goes that you mentioned, I am getting some of that like red rubied fruit in there. So I can get behind you a little bit on that one.
I like how, for how much we've been through the bottle, not only does the ABV stick up, but the flavor sticks up too. Yeah. Like, usually the flavor starts going down or almost tastes like watered down, or like, it's been there for like a lot of aeration, because that's what air does. But this is actually, keeping up. Like, it's staying good.
No, like I said, I'm pretty impressed with this guy for having been less than half the bottle for a long time. Yeah, and it goes to show, like, we've talked about it before. I think it was our Highland Park video. Again, you can check that one out up here after this review. Come back, you can do that again. Where you had marbles in the bottle, right? To kind of maintain the flavor profile, that way it wouldn't oxidize. I am shocked with this guy for how low it is, the flavor profile that is still present, right? Did you have any water in it yet? I
did not.
You did not. So I put 3 drops of water in. Again, 46%. So that's really going to maintain some nice, ABV to it, and it's going to handle the water a little bit. Everything just kind of becomes rounded off and soft, like the little bit of ethanol that's usually, kind of at a higher ABV, and it's like that Sharpie smell. You almost don't get it at all with the water. What are you going to get on? I know you just dropped it in, but
no, I mean, you're right, because initially, I like hover my nose over to smell because of that impact from the alcohol. But with the water, I can put my nose completely in there and like get the nose notes, as you say. Just a tad bit lighter, but it's still, normal influences like the citrus orange to me. But just a little bit easier to pick up since you watered down the alcohol. What'd you get on the flavor profile over here?
I kind of expected this. Now, I don't remember if I've ever dropped water on this, but I kind of expected this with the Bourbon Cask, right? It got a little of that pepper note, right? Not like overly peppered, but it's present, right? It's like a well-seasoned piece of meat. Like, you taste the pepper, but it's not going to blow you up. So that's really a nice note in here, whereas sometimes when you drop water on it, at least for us anyway, it's like almost too peppery. It becomes a pepper bomb. This one is a very complementative pepper. Like, it's right there, and it gives you a little bit of heat, but then it kind of goes away. The mouthfeel becomes less oily, which is kind of a ding for me, but it becomes creamy. Like that vanilla cream custard is almost there for me.
And I almost think that's where that, like tart whipped cream comes in for me.
When you say tart, do you mean like experience, or do you mean like an actual flavor?
An actual flavor.
Like lemon tart or something like that?
Nice. Yeah. But overall, you're right. With the flavor on the water, there's pepper, but enough to complement it with whatever else is there. most pepper that we don't like, it's either out of nowhere or it's too strong or it's just a lingering flavor. But this, it definitely does a good job of merging with it. So I can definitely say I would enjoy this as much with water as I would without because of how much it complements the flavors.
It's interesting because with that 46%, it holds the water nicely. Like you can go neat or you can go with water. For me, I think I'm gonna stick with neat because I think with water on this one I lose a little bit of the finish, and I think that's because the oily mouthfeel kind of goes away. So for me, I would stick with neat on this guy for sure. As far as a rating goes, I think I paid like 75 or 80 for this after shipping and everything. Let's call it 130 just for the sake of being easy, right? 130, 18 years, non-chill filtered, no added color, 46%. You're getting a lot of value to it. I'm going to go with a 4. I think for me, you know, with my subjective taste, I really enjoy Deanston. I think that they put out some great quality whiskey. I think there's a lot of offerings from them that I haven't had a chance to try, even that are sitting on the bar right now. So I'm excited to get into those. But for this bottle, it's a solid 4 for the whiskey in the glass. Now, at that price point, would I replace it? I don't know. It's kind of like a 50-50. It depends. Like, you know, right now there's 6 bottles on the shelf. The next time I go there, are there still 6 or are there 3? You know what I mean? So for me, it's kind of like, if you can find it and you do like a bourbon finished scotch, definitely pull the trigger. I think you're going to like it. But if you're just kind of like, meh, it's not really my thing, maybe give this one a pass. Because like I said, it is a little bit higher in price point. For me, though, it's a 4 out of 5 for sure. Where are you going? So
for me, I'm going to give it a 3. I love it too. It's really good. A good staple to Highland scotches. Great price point. Even that 130 or 120 paid, I think it's a good price point for it.
Like I said, it's a good value.
Yeah,
you're getting a lot out of that money.
Good value, and I think this is like the staple on what you should judge Highland whiskeys for. So if you're thinking about getting a good Highland whiskey scotch and you've had this before and you think this is good, I think this is the one you should compare it to. Like, oh, is it a good let's compare it to that. So for me, it's a 3.
Awesome. Well, it's a 3 from Cesar. It's a 4 from me. Do us a favor. Hit us up in the comments. Have you had Deanston? Which Deanston have you had? Because there's a ton of them. If you've had the 18, let us know your thoughts, because I'm genuinely curious to see kind of what everybody's thoughts are on this one. I know when this one came out, if I'm not mistaken, it was a little bit divisive in comparison to some of the other Deanstons, but some people really loved it and some people were just kind of like lukewarm on it. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Hey, don't forget, follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We love interacting with you there as well as here. Everybody hit the like button, hit the little bell. That way you know whenever we drop a new video every Wednesday. And again, if you're new here, subscribe. The button's right here. Click it. It's going to give you a little subscribe notification. You can click it and get all the whiskey content that you like. Hey guys, we appreciate you sticking around. You got anything else you want to add?
Nah, what about you, brother?
Stay safe and drink well. All aboard. Catch you next time. Hey everybody, hope you liked that video.
Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications.
And don't forget to subscribe.